Titleist is the number one ball in golf. Yes, being number one is a number, and more players trust the Pro V1 or Pro V1X than all other golf balls combined. But being number one is more than a number. It's a mindset. It's a relentless mission to design and manufacture the best performing golf balls in the game, so you can chase whatever your number one is. Titleist, the number one ball in golf.
I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to the 88th episode of the Playing from the Tips podcast, Golf Australia Magazine's weekly tipping show covering all the action around the world of professional golf as well as some of the less active areas of the game. My name is Jimmy Emanuel and it is my pleasure to attempt to create some sort of order among our so-called experts as we touch on some Legends Tour golf, the PGA Tour, DP World Tour and LPGA Tour this week. Joining me in doing so this week is part handyman, part journalist, part Italian, but completely researched and entertaining. It is the podcast czar himself, Rod Murray. Rod, welcome.
Hopeless at both as well, Jimmy, both as handyman and the rest. Can't pick a winner, don't know anything about the game, useless as a handyman, but here we are.
Are you hopeless as an Italian?
Yeah,
of course.
Part of
and I'm only half.
That's what I said, part.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've always thought it was the left. But I'm starting to think later in life it
might be the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's top bottom.
Okay.
Or
very
front
good.
back.
Okay,
Rob Modesone.
Okay.
Bit elaborate.
Third member of our team is going to be bordering on unbearable this week as he revels in some excellent tipping, some of which was once again done only in his own head. He also requested to hear the champ is here as he arrived due to his own monthly medal victory over the weekend. Welcome, Adrian Logue.
Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah. Let me give you a little insight into what it takes to win a monthly medal.
Let's not.
You've got to...
Good to see the hard work paying off, Adrian. Which is, I guess, what you were going to say?
No, I was going to say, and I don't know if Ewan Ferguson listens to this podcast, but if he does, Ewan, you've got to be not afraid to go very low, like very low. I'm talking net 66.
It wasn't a Stephen Bradbury.
No, I mean,
I imagine you logged the field where everyone else was tracking along, and then randomly you took advantage of their misfortune, and then you won.
No, it's all an internal struggle, Jimmy. When you're 2 or 3 better than your handicap after 9 holes or so, you've got to not be afraid to push on. And, maybe that's what's holding back Ewan Ferguson in his career.
Are you a constant winner in the monthly medal stakes? How many have you got?
Over a very, very long period, I've got 3.
3.
And a medal of medals.
Oh, okay. That's big. Yeah. That's good.
That's gold letters.
You played well twice that year.
Gold letters.
That's a hell of a year, that.
Yeah. That might get you the golden microphone you've just requested before recording. As we do each week, let's reflect on last week's golf before looking at this week. And, gents, what were the highlights, lowlights, or otherwise from last week?
I thought the local golf was the highlight.
Yeah.
2 young guys going at it, 2 guys we've seen a couple of times already this summer. It sets up. This is what I think what the tour's got right down here with this weekly kind of golf where you get to watch it. I can't wait to see Jack Carter at the PGA and the Australian Open.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be looking for the big names, and you promote Cam Smith and Minwoo and all, and that's good. But the week-to-week golf fan who's put in the time and effort, you get something extra. Because that kid Jack Carter, he's a serious player.
He's a flusher.
Two tournaments where you've just watched him and gone, he's got potential. He hasn't proved it yet, but that's why I can't wait to see him at the big one. But I thought the local golf was the best of it.
Yeah.
Well, my highlight was, unsurprisingly, your Takeda winning the Toto Japan Classic. It's like I've been a true believer in her for a little bit now, but it's not really going out on a limb. She's won 8 times on the JLPGA Tour this year. And just a sensational golf swing, like something like, it's kind of got this form of like a Paddy Tavatanikit, but really attacks the ball. That sort of Jitanagan sort of strike.
Yeah.
But then really impressive ball flight as well. She slices her putts a little bit, which I feel a bit seen there, but But she's got very tidy. She's got a very tidy short game, and and just an incredible attitude. Very humble.
Yep.
You know, her first words when she won last week were to apologise to the crowd for taking so long with the playoff.
Yep.
Like that, just that everybody stayed around. She felt bad that everyone had to stay around.
No one apologised for the playoff at the Queensland PGA to me, and I had a flight ticket.
No, that's right. Well,
I've done three events so far this season, and all three have been playoffs.
Playoffs, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
You like a curse.
But I agree. I think Phoenix Campbell and Jack Carter, but Rio to Cutter is so impressive.
I think she's a superstar. Like she is just going to carve it up
coverage,
on the
though.
LPGA.
Wouldn't it be good if we could see the JLPGA?
Don't. Oh, absolutely. It'd be so good.
There's got to be a sports bar somewhere that can somehow get. In fact, there's a Japanese sports bar just over up the
Ichiro's.
road here, which I really want to. Have you been there?
I've been there. Yeah.
Oh, is it good?
Yeah, it's pretty
okay. We're keen to go and have a look.
Yeah.
We've got a million TV screens with all different sports.
Not a million TV screens. But
you know,
I don't think anywhere has
sort of a
million.
comfortable lounge.
10?
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Nice vibe there.
Yeah. I think, and Charlie Hull won on the LET, finally won again, and Richard T. Lee also won after a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And
you don't need to tell Logue.
Just back of Richard T. Lee, I think, before we get to that, Jazz Jane Watnanond finally had a good result. He's a player who's seriously good. And,
He really is good. And has given you the opportunity to show off the fact that you know how to pronounce his last name again by finishing second.
And spell it just easy as. I can that's one of my favourite things, is just to be able to spell Jane Watnanond.
So that when you put in the first three letters, it finishes the word.
Yeah, but
that's
no,
the sort
I'm
of
not
one you
doing
put
that. That's cheating stuff. And of course, Cam Smith was part of the show in Queensland and did everything he needed.
You were there, Jimmy. What did you make of his game?
Game looked pretty good, a little bit rusty at times. That's why he's playing, to get ready for the two bigger ones, because he hasn't played a tournament in a while, but he's working hard. Game was solid. Golf course didn't suit him, I don't think.
Driver looked a bit loose, perhaps.
His driver was a little loose, but got better as the weekend went on. He did everything asked of him, and it had, not to the full extent, but Norman in the 90s and that sort of vibe.
No different for Cam. He's getting asked the same amount of things.
Yeah.
Might not be his biggest star.
And he happily did everything, went and signed for kids, and even when he was frustrated about how he played, he was doing the right things and everything like that. And he was tremendous with all the other players and everything like that. It was exactly what you would have you thought of it, and it was really good for everyone. It was a learning experience, and it's huge for guys like Phoenix Campbell and Jack Carter to beat him.
Absolutely.
And know that they can beat him.
Just play with him, see him up close.
And
the kids have got to play with him.
And Cam said it at the start of the week when every single journo interviewed him and said, well, you're just going to show up and win here this week. And he went, no, I'm not, because there's a lot of good players here. I should win if I bring my best golf, but I'm not going to be guaranteed to.
There's a great Sergio Garcia quote about 5 or 6 years ago. I remember I saved it on my old laptop, and he just said, it doesn't matter where you are in the world or what the field is, it's hard to win.
Yeah.
You don't get handed a trophy because you've won something else before. Every field has, and on any given day, a number of good players who are going to play well. If you want to win, you've got to beat them, and that's not as easy as it looks from the outside.
And it'll be the same at the New South Wales Open when he gets a bit more company in that sort of category, Lucas Herbert and a few others. So it'll be really good to watch for the next couple of weeks.
Well done, Cam Smith. That's admirable what he's doing.
On last week, part of the reason for Logue needing to turn sideways to get his head through the door was his successful 2 winning tips as well as a top 10, while Rod and I combined to add another 4 top 10s for the week, all of which takes us to 29 wins, 153 top 10s, which, as Rod knows, are tipping numbers unrivaled by any podcast in the world that will have one of its hosts at Richmond Golf Club this week.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because I had a call last week, Jimmy, which might have threatened our status in one of our categories. So I'm glad that you've switched it up this week.
Exactly.
They're not going to Richmond, so we're good.
Exactly.
And I just want a point of order as well. Like my top 10 was Ben Campbell in the Asian Tour event. And I did consider, and again, I know this, so you'll have to take my word for it.
Sure.
But I did consider picking Richard T. Lee.
Yeah.
Okay.
The eventual winner. That's
which
kind
is
of
code
it's a
for,
virtual win.
Yeah, but isn't it code for I saw Richard T. Lee's name in the field? Isn't that when you thought he could win? And then the next one, I thought he could win.
I lingered on his name, yes.
I considered having a salad for dinner last night and ate something far less healthy. So we can all do things.
I believe you, Jimmy.
On to this week's golf. And first, why don't we start at the golf club we just mentioned, Richmond Golf Club, Legends of Yesteryear, PGA Legends Tour in Australia, playing its biggest event of the season, the Nova Employment Australian PGA Senior Championship. Order of Australian PGA Senior Championship always catches me out. I feel like it should be Australian Senior PGA Championship.
You've got the in, Jimmy. Get it done.
No, it's on the trophy. It's on the trophy.
Ah, that's hard.
Yeah.
You have to learn engraving first. So
yeah, that's
scrub
right.
out the old one
I
and
don't
put the
think
new one
Andy
in.
Rogers, the head of the Legends Tour, let me take the trophy away and anyway.
Understood.
The sponsor watch for this Nova Employment, Disability Employment Service. So good people. Come out, support the event. It's a great event. It's got
Actually,
a lot of community vibe out at Richmond. Sponsors show up, the local sort of members and all that sort of stuff. It's fantastic.
The seniors
fun.
put on a good show too,
And the
away
guys-
from the golf course.
Correct. They're willing to do whatever, and they hang around, they have a drink, and it's a great week out there. Richmond has now been the host for a number of years, a little over an hour sort of out of the Sydney CBD at the base of the Blue Mountains. A little bit of history for you as well for Richmond Golf Club. So, 4 p.m, March 15, 1899, they decided to form a golf club.
Oh, nice.
And it is believed to be the oldest golf club on its original site in Australia.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise.
According to Golf New South Wales, that's true. Believed to be leaves enough mystery
There's wiggle
in there.
room. Yeah, it's plausible deniability.
Yeah, but yeah,
You wonder what happens at those meetings, because every time you read a history,
I love that
golf club,
at
it always
4 p.m.
starts with exactly right. So they must have been taking minutes. It was a very official. There's no golf course yet, no golf club, but we're going to note all this documentation for amazing stuff. Normally, I think mates get together, let's go out the paddock there and cut a hole in it, and from there would grow a golf course. But these people who are organising prior, it's amazing stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to go out there and ask about it. I'm going to Craig Hodge, GM of Richmond Golf Club. Yeah. Watch out, I'm coming for you. Site is fairly flat. The golf is challenging though, with some water adds to something, but it's well-established trees on dog-legging holes that basically take the longer club out of your hand, often off the tee, or it's a really challenging take-it-on sort of shot. So it's not just a birdie fest where guys are going to go crazy on a suburban golf course. It's quite tough, and they set the golf course up pretty tough some of the days as well. So the players will have a challenge ahead of them. And who are the players, I hear you ask? Well, let's start with only people with the first name Peter to whet the appetite.
There was a point on the leaderboard last year where the first 5 were Peters, I think.
So we've got a Senior, an O'Malley, a Lonard, a Jones and a Brown. The two at the end might not be in the same company, but we're missing a Fowler. I'm not sure where Chooky is this week, but
He'll be
he's
playing
not on
golf
the entry.
somewhere.
He'll be playing golf somewhere, that's right. So Elite Peters. is
Elite Pete, a club, nice.
Yep. But then you go. Andre Stoltz, Adam Henwood, who wins on this tour for fun, Brad Burns, similar, John Sendon, Terry Price, Matthew Goggin, David Branston, Mike Harwood, Dave McKenzie, on and on and on it goes. Legends of the game of yesteryear or of current time senior golf around the world. It is a chance to go out and watch these guys who are just fantastic ambassadors for golf.
In 30 or 40 years' time, we'll be talking in the same way about Jack Carter and Phoenix Campbell.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
You'd hope so, yeah.
Tour's doing a good job of setting things up so that can happen.
I don't know if those actions into the golf ball are as repeatable as some of those other names mentioned at that sort of an age, but yeah. And it's going to be broadcast on Fox in the same window as all the others. So, who do we think will win? I'll start the bidding with one M. Goggin. Over to you, Logue.
I've got a little bit of personal interest here. A friend of mine, Guy Wall, is a former winner at Richmond, and he's a very good player. I think just this course suits him, and he's a surprisingly very consistent performer.
Yeah, one of those ones,
amongst all of those names.
He's one of those ones that was an amateur until he was 50 and loves the game so much that they work so hard at it once they turn pro and get into it. And a lot of the other guys do. Lonard will be hitting balls all day, every day and whatever, and it's time for Pete to get a hobby. But it's those guys like Guy Wall that are really important to these tours as well. He's fit as a fiddle and he loves it. And won the rain-affected year at Richmond. Yeah.
In a playoff with Peter, one of the Peters.
One of the Peters, yeah. Rod, over to you.
I don't follow it as closely as I could or should, but I like David McKenzie.
Yep.
Did a great thing about golf episode with him. A much better episode than I expected it to be. I thought it'd be interesting, but he was fascinating. If you're a young player interested in pursuing a professional career, have a listen to David McKenzie because he's really fantastic. Just a gritty player, great putter.
Yeah.
Not fazed by anything. Had a win last week, I think.
A little while ago, yeah.
A little while ago, yeah. So look at David McKenzie for me.
Great fella. I love him.
And a
he's
genuinely
a tremendous guy. Yeah. He never, interestingly, all those years playing on what's now the Corn Ferry Tour, never bought a house in America. Right. Was just one of those ones who bopped around, and then when he'd get a break, he'd go and stay in Vegas in a place he liked, and then he'd go again, and then he'd go back. But yeah, I think Lonard is, I'm tipping Goggin, but Lonard is determined to win this thing. because
Yeah,
he
that's
hasn't.
true. That's right.
And he is so close to it every single time. And last year he was a red-hot chance if the putter wanted to behave somewhat. So he will be right there.
I like your Matt Goggin pick, by the way. Excellent PR for 7 Mile Beach if you can get across the line somewhere, and that'll be motivating him.
With David McKenzie, who wants to be the teaching pro there.
Oh, does he?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So there you go. Next, let's go to Hawaii and the LPGA Tour, who play the Lotte Championship presented by Hawaii. I think that's how you say it. Where Grace Kim will perform one of the longest awaited non-COVID affected title defences. Because this used to be in February. Now it's in November. So, Logue, you're going to talk us through it.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. This is the tournament with the hula dance.
It is.
During the presentation, which I don't know, I find it a little bit cringy.
I love it.
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, because the players are so uncomfortable with it, but they
So
know they have to do it. It's one of those things where
It's a little
just
bit
like,
degrading. It's a little bit cultural
It's got
appropriation.
everything.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it for an LPGA event where the players buy in with whatever. If you try to do it at a men's event, you just get them going. No, they do. The closest they do is at the Sony Open where they give it a shaka, which is thumb out, pinky finger out. But
I thought
this
that was
is
gang signs. Where have I been? Isn't that gang
It's a
signs?
surfing thing.
Is it? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, continue.
Something
Logue.
new every day. Sorry, Logue.
I'm not on board with the hula dancing. Anyway, Grace Kim, as you said, is defending champ. And yeah, it's been like 18 months, I think, since the tournament with
Which is
the way
remarkable.
the schedule's changed. It is remarkable. And, you know, in that interim, Grace probably hasn't performed, you know, to that standard that she started off. I think it was only her third LPGA Tour event when she won.
Yeah, it was
And it
quite a
was,
shock.
I don't like to take credit for things. But as has been mentioned multiple times on the coverage, every time I interview Elvis Smiley on the golf course, he makes a birdie or an eagle at the next hole. I interviewed Grace in Hawaii just before she went over and played that event last year. So,
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
I haven't spoken. I actually was texting with Grace's manager last week, so maybe
okay.
You're a whisperer.
Okay. I'm sure that is the thing that's going to make the difference.
Whispering Jimmy Emanuel.
Some notables in the field who won't have the benefit of a conversation with Jimmy Emanuel before the
We'll
tournament.
see.
Brooke Mackenzie Henderson, Ayaka Furue, a Matt Burns favourite, Jin Young-ko, red hot Marina Alex, who's coming off a couple of good results, and another Matt Burns favourite, Nasa Hataoka. I'm feeling one of those is going to be Rod's pick.
Did I pick? Let me have a look.
Also continued to be intrigued by the fate of one Monet Inami, who, despite, as we'll recall, despite being the defending champion last week, was unable to get into the field for the Toto Japan Classic. In fact, she was 9th reserve, which I still don't understand. But somehow she's easily in the field for this week's event. Like, it's just like well in the qualifying window. So this is something I'm just going to keep our listeners appraised of.
Anami watch.
Yeah, Inami watch. In lieu of not having an Inami tracker
Twitter
account that I
yep.
can follow,
Okay.
I'll just do my best to keep up with this and keep listeners appraised. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. There's a solid Australian contingent in the field, headed, of course, by Grace Kim. Steph Kyriakou is there as well. She recently survived a brief encounter with us, Jimmy, at St Michael's.
I actually spoke to her last week as well. So
Okay.
Apologise for the brief encounter at St. Michael's.
The brief encounter, she drove up, saw us, and then turned around and we disappeared as quickly.
She's always
as,
been a very smart kid and a great judge of character.
Yeah, that's true.
She just basically drove off in the opposite direction. Hira Naveed, who continues to impress,
Yes.
a very good year, and Robin Choi. The course, can you say it for me again, please, Jimmy?
Hawaii.
Is, it's okay. It's designed by Ernie Els. Very long. I think it has a reputation for being the longest course in Hawaii, and heavily bunkered, 112 bunkers, and a lot of water. So, yeah, it's a bit of a pumped up resort course, but, a familiar venue. So my pick, given all of that, is going to be, I'm going to steal this one away from Matt Burns, but Jin Young-ko.
Nice.
Which is due a win.
Well and truly due a win for how good a player she is. I agree with that.
She sort of stands out in this field too, doesn't she? There's not as many of the top players this week as you tend to get with the LPGA, so she moves up that list of potentials. I hadn't actually picked anybody, but I was going to say I had looked at the field. Hyoju Kim, who won it, I think, 2 years ago, perhaps. Didn't go well at this course last year. But she just keeps bobbing up on the cover. She's one of those players whose name seems to get a mention every week at some point on Sunday, where she's played her way into the top 10 or the top 5 or whatever. So, yeah, Hyoju Kim for me.
Nice. I was going to go with Ayaka Fiore because I feel like she wants to be top Japanese kind of player. I feel like there's a bit of that in it, but I'm going to change and tip Steph Kyriaki for no real reason other than
Nice.
I think on really longer golf courses, Ayaka Fiore really is at a disadvantage. She does amazingly, considering how much shorter she is than a lot of the other players off the tee. She does amazingly well most weeks, but when it really gets long, I think it doesn't rule her out, but it makes it really hard for her to just keep pace. You end up putting for a lot of pars when you're hitting long irons and woods into greens all day.
Here in Naveed, by the way, if she can somehow have 2 really good weeks over the last 2, she can get herself into the CME to a championship, and that's an incredible effort.
We said it a couple of weeks
where
ago.
her status started.
Flown under the radar. Of all the Australian players and their positions in the game, she's probably the best performed on the LPGA this year in terms of what her expectations would have been going into the year.
Yep,
correct. And what she's done. She hasn't just kept a card. She's got qualified for the Asian swing. That's free money.
Yeah.
That's what golf professionals want to do. I've been really impressed with her. I'd love to see an interview with her at some point.
Yeah.
Not too much from her.
Minjee Lee, interestingly, sits at 54th for that top 60 qualified for the Tour Championship.
And
but
not playing this week.
Not playing this week.
She's 52, I think, before last week.
It would be an unlikely slide that
Just
far out. It's pretty comfortable, but it should be interesting.
She'll be watching the scores this weekend.
Yeah, there'll be attention.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Your golf ball is the most technologically advanced, or it's not. Your golf ball is either the most consistent, or it's not. It's the most trusted, or it's not. The fact is, it's either Titleist, the best performing golf ball in the world, or it's not. Prove it for yourself. Titleist, the #1 ball in golf. What will you play?
On we go, and Rod, let's head for the DP World Tour and the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship in, you guessed it, Abu Dhabi, where our friend John Huggan will be this week.
Oh, which is excellent news. Always good to see coverage from Huggy. Hang on, you've got to go down the page. I was expecting you to go to the PGA Tour
Yeah, I know, and I decided to do that just to mess with you a little bit.
Understood. Right, Abu Dhabi. This will be the focus of the world golf this week. This is where, Rory
says you.
Well, says me.
Yeah.
Also
Rory's
why it was
playing there.
elevated in the order.
Hey?
Also why it was elevated in the order.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Yeah. So, of course, this is the one that Rory's playing, and in 2024, if Rory's playing, you tend to watch that. That's part of what sets the field. It is actually because it's this week, next week, and I think the final is the first of 3 events going to the final of where they give away all the money. So not surprisingly, a good excellent European tour field. Rory, Shane Lowry, Justin Rose, Adam Scott, Min Woo, Tommy Fleetwood. A lot of live players, Jimmy. The European Tour has clearly opened their arms and found ways to get live players back to the DP World Tour. Who knows what that's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, there's been a suggestion of a bit of something in the last couple of days from some sources that maybe
haven't always been reliable.
But we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. So Tyrrell Hatton, Joachim Neiman, Adrian Meronk, just for example, those sorts of players, and that boosts the field. That's good for the field. So David Micheluzzi is the only other Australian who qualified, and well done to him.
Well done to me.
He needs to play well this week to make it next week. They cut the fields as they go.
Yeah, so he was technically just outside, but based off people not playing, he gets in.
Yeah. Okay.
So if he can run the gauntlet and keep it going.
He's had some good rounds in the last few weeks. The hard thing about professional golf, you shoot 63 one day, it does nothing for you if you shoot 70 the next day. That's what's difficult about it. He's had some really good rounds this year.
It's close. It's very close for him. Yeah.
And we saw what he can do when he's confident over here in Australia.
Yep.
Just got to get that confidence on the big stage. So that'll be interesting. Part of the reason I think this is going to be one of the more watchable tournaments is the course. Yas Links.
Yas Queen.
It's really impressive. You're waiting to find out what's that from? What have I missed? What pop culture reference have I not got there?
It's a young person's way of saying yes.
Clearly.
Yes.
Oh, that's it.
What
was the Queen? Is there anything specific?
It's a particularly young...
on the end because of what young people do?
Particularly
young freestyling?
Young
is that what
girls.
they call it? Freestyling?
Young girls would say yes, Queen. Yeah.
Yes, Queen. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
not 50-year-old men, but that's okay.
I didn't say it.
No, I'm talking about the one who said it.
I didn't even understand it,
no.
So I'm okay. So Yas Links, it's a good course, and it'll be good to watch. It's unlike the other course, which we'll talk about in a minute, in Mexico, where they're playing this week. There is rough here at Yas, and it's that tricky rough for pros. The ball doesn't bury, sits up on top.
Yeah.
Now you got flyers in play. Pros hate that. Yeah. If you take away their ability to hit the exact yardage they want to, with that little, they really hit. So this one will suit players that have got patience. You don't have to hit a bad
fun-looking
shot.
course too.
It looks fantastic.
It's one of those ones that really pops on TV.
Very much.
When a lot of those manufactured courses that we see in the Emirates tend to look a little bit.
The sand's too white,
like,
the grass is a bit
it's
too
just
green.
something's completely out of place.
They do
Just-
the area, and it's like this thing is sitting in the middle of something that looks nothing
Exactly.
like Yazlinks doesn't
Yeah,
look
it
that. It
doesn't.
looks like
The Tyrrell Corporation hates it.
Well, I was
Which
Oh, it makes it
always
even better.
suggests
Exactly right.
golf course architecture people are going to like it.
First clue. Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to read you the quote because
I've got his quote. Yeah.
Do you want to read it? Because I was going to ask you about this.
You go.
Okay. So this was after he made on day 2 last year. He made a 7 on the par 5 18th, and on
Yep.
day 3 he made a 9. He finished second by 3 shots.
Yep.
So he's understandably not happy. He's walked off the course and been asked about the 18th hole, and here's what he said. I'd love for a bomb to drop on it and blow it to oblivion, to be honest. It's just such a terrible finishing hole, and the fact that they moved the tee back today is ridiculous. I had a really good tee shot, still had 290 to the front. I could peg up driver and still not get there. It'd be a much better finishing hole if you're actually rewarded for hitting the fairway, which is as it stands, you're not. Tyrrell got ripped for this last year. I played my part in disagreeing with him. But what this does, who's not waiting at the 18th tee Thursday to watch Tyrrell play the hole? It generates interest. So good on Tyrrell. He will be a chance this week. He's playing
A
well.
massive chance. Huge.
And still playing with a lot of spite. Some would say his boys win the other week. It's wide, short grass around the greens. The greens are interesting. There's interesting shots around the greens, the rough and low. So it's going to be a good golf week, proper golf week. 18 under par won it last year, 10 under the first year. I don't recall. Was it windy or something on that
It was
last day? Did it
exceptionally
blow?
windy last year, yeah.
Scoring disparity like that at this sort of event a bit is kind of rare. So, yeah, it depends on the wind. We'll see what happens with the scoring. Victor Perez is defending. Roy's obviously the favourite. I like the little links players like Tommy Fleetwood. Guys got a bit of imagination, creativity, both with ball flight, shots around the green, that sort of thing. So I'm actually going to go with Tommy Fleetwood, I think.
Nice.
And plays well in this part of the... Oh, sorry. Would you like me to pick someone else?
No.
Good, because I wasn't going to.
Victor Perez, Australia-bound Victor Perez.
Yes,
Gonna
I just
play
saw that
the
last with his
PGA and the Australian Open.
And Australian Open.
And having watched him in person before, if you're going to those events, go watch Victor Perez.
What an action.
It is so impressive.
Silky smooth, just fluid.
Scotland's Victor Perez,
Scotland's
according
Victor
to
Perez.
Huggy.
Well, probably partly why he probably played well last year. He lives in
Yeah,
Sydney.
he lives
That's where he plays a whole lot of golf, is on links
exactly.
courses. So,
Yeah.
full respect.
Logue, over to you.
Look, is it okay? I'm going to go with
Are you going to tip
Fleetwood.
Ewan Ferguson?
No. Not that guy.
I'm sure Ewan would have a tip for you if you were ever to meet too.
No, Tommy Fleetwood. Tommy Fleetwood.
He just looks like he's going to win it this week, doesn't he?
Oh, well, he's had 3 top 5s in his last 4 starts. I think it's been a while. I think it was Dunhill was his last start. So he's had a bit of time off.
Yeah.
But, he's probably sharpened the sword a little bit in that time. And
He's just such a likeable player too, Tommy. You kind of want him to win because you like the look of him. You want to
wanna see
switch
a lot
his
of
head with his long hair like
those
that.
cut-off finishes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, links. I think it's...
He's a player. He does things.
Yeah.
He does different things. They're interesting.
Yeah. Rory will win one of these events.
Of course he will. Probably the
I'm
last one, though.
not going to go with this one because I'm going to keep my powder dry, but he will win at least one. I'm going to tip Adam Scott instead.
Yeah, good call.
Adam is playing good golf. He's not joining Victor Perez down here, but he is going to want to put on a couple of good performances to finish the year. So
Good links player.
and a good links
Has
player.
got the
I think he
imagination
played
and the shot.
decent here last year, maybe across the first couple of days, and maybe had a decent finish. So, I think Adam's due for a win as well. So
Well, I thought about Adam Scott, so if he gets up, Jimmy, then we'll both
we'll both claim it. Yeah, I thought about Tommy Fleetwood, Rory McIlroy, Victor Perez. Who else is there in there?
Should we have a pre-meeting before each and go through all the players that we thought might have won at the weekend?
Anyway, moving along. Finally, the PGA Tour returns to capitalised action. You like that, Rod? Capitalised action, yeah.
sure.
This week, and again, we turn to you, Rod, for the details of the Worldwide Technology Championship.
Well, let's start with Sponsor Watch, of which we've not had much this episode. Worldwide Technology. I'd never heard of them. Logue might have.
I think I did this tournament last year. So yeah.
founded in 1990, a global systems integrator. You're a computer guy. What does that mean, Logue? $20 billion in annual revenue they make out of it. What is it that they make
Must
and
be
sell?
some
it means
system.
whatever you want it to
Right,
mean
so
in
I've
their
got a-
next pitch that they're doing. But
Right. So if I've got a problem here, technology-wise, with storing stuff, where they can integrate some systems that'll make it easy for me to save big files, that kind of thing. Is that what they mean by the systems integration?
No,
At
I
its
mean,
base level?
that'd be just a consultancy they'd be doing.
I'm
services.
genuinely asking what they do.
And the answer is giving you nothing.
Well, the answer is the same as what you find with all of these companies when you read their about. It's just a word salad that ultimately think, what did that mean? And it's nothing. So computers, they're in computers. All right.
Nice.
El Cardinale Diamante Los Cabos is the course.
Magnificently
You like
done
that?
on that pronunciation.
That was
there.
very well done.
Yeah.
Elevation?
Well, I haven't done an elevation because it's in Mexico and designed by Tiger, so I, of course, was just completely drawn into that and forgot about calculating elevation. So I apologise, Logan. It's careless of me. Tiger Woods design, second year here. This event used to be at Mayakoba, people might remember, till Liv booked an event there.
Yeah.
PGA Tour said, we can't go there anymore, so we've got to find
And
a new
also
course.
Mayakoba's designed by
Luckily, their number one golden-haired boy just happened to have a course he designed nearby in Mexico, and they switched to venues there. So who knows what happened in the background before that happened. Having said that, the course actually does look interesting. A little bit like Yaz Links, very wide. This one, no rough at all. You're either on the fairway, the green, or you're in the desert.
Nice.
They're the three playing surfaces. But the fairways are really wide, particularly if you feel like this. They're that way because it's on the ocean. The wind can really blow. We've seen this in Bermuda, I think.
So sea level is the elevation.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Sea level. Nice one. No wonder I didn't have to calculate it.
Nice.
Nice. Call me out there, yeah.
How many negative Sahalis is
Well, that's
that?
-1 Sahara.
-1 Sahali.
Yeah.
But you know what the wind can do when you get this close to the ocean. Because we've seen it at Bermuda a couple of times where players have struggled to break 80, good players, and that could potentially happen here, you feel, if it was any tighter. Lots of short grass, past Palem grass. So if you've played at Magenta Shores, it's a good surface to play. It's completely past Palem. Tees, greens, fairways. Magenta Shores, not past Palem?
No.
It is. Bordering the fairways. The rough is past Palem.
Maybe the rough. Okay.
The rough is past Palem. Yeah. So you won't have played off it, as I've just said there. So that was I might edit that bit out since I'm in charge of that.
Yeah, nice.
It does look fun, a bit like Yaz Links. Lots of bumpers and slopes around the greens. You can bring the ball in off. It's a gentle golf course in a location that get windy for players who aren't pros 51 weeks of the year. So when the pros get there, you'd expect them to rip it apart. It is long, just above average for a tour course. That's not going to worry them with the width. Every player in the field, even the short hitters, are long enough. So it'll probably come down to a bit of a putting comp. You would think at the end, Eric Van Rooyen won last year at 27 under. He's back to defend. Been an okay year, not spectacular. It's not a particularly strong field. Lucas Glover, Cameron Champ, a couple of your favourites, Blue Jack Hosler and Scott Pearce. He makes a comeback.
New Jack.
New Jack.
Sorry, not, but I call him Blue Jack.
Yeah, he's
I think you've got
I'm on a Tiger
Tigers.
design thing.
And his name's actually Bo Hostler. So
We know that, but not here it's not.
New Jack Hostler.
My tip, Max Grazerman.
Yeah.
Because I've done research. I thought you've got to be quite
We
long.
lost a playoff the other week, didn't he?
Yeah, he was second in Japan behind Justin Thomas. Was it a playoff? Three-way playoff?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so he's up there. But he's top 3 in putting and he's top 15 in driving distance. That sounds like a good combination this week. Played well last time he was out. So go Max.
Yeah. Nice. Logue?
I like Akshay Bhatia for this.
We all do.
It's a class
Lovely kid.
player. Yeah, lovely kid. And just, a class player.
Needs a feed.
Yeah.
Sure.
And if it gets windy, you might need to put rocks in
Well, I was
his
going
pocket.
to say, if it does blow,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. No, good tip. I'm going to tip Cameron Young.
Yeah, good call. Has been quiet. hasn't
Should win a golf tournament before too long.
He could be done.
Jeez, that's
Ooh.
so
he?
early.
Is he on the Ferguson pile yet?
It has been for a while. Like, I don't know. He's genuinely had a very bad
He
year.
really has fallen away, hasn't he?
27 years of age, and he's done.
Yeah.
Okay. Cameron Young plays well links golf, which is what this is. His quality, not necessarily current form, is above the rest of the field. So I'm going to tip Cameron Young. That will just about do us for episode 88. Rod, what's in store for Sydney Podcast Studios? That I'm going to give you a likeness here. The studio is Nick Faldo and you're David Ledbetter in the 90s. Constantly tinkering to get it better.
Well, I'll be working on widening the entrance door today after Lowe almost couldn't get his head through it, so
Nice.
I'm going to have to
Yep.
expand the doors. Got nothing planned in it. Well, I'm going to put some soft pool noodle type
Yep.
stuff on this box that I've built under the desk, which
Yep.
you both hit your knees on this morning, which really did bring me great joy.
Yep.
That's exactly what
Logue
I was
was
designed for.
Workplace health and safety
Logue's,
issue.
Logue's next monthly medal defence was almost without
Yeah,
a
that's
kneecap.
exactly right.
Yeah.
It would have been in the newsletter at the club, wouldn't it? You know, the defending champions had to withdraw with a bad knee after
Yeah.
an unusual accident at a podcast studio.
Exactly. And Logue, based off your results last week, both on the golf course and tipping wise, I'm assuming there's nothing changing for you this week. You'll eat the same breakfast each day.
Back to the grind, Jimmy.
I don't think you know what that is. You must watch golf tournaments. They talk about grinding, and you
He's
think they're
thinking
talking
coffee.
about like the end of the golf club or something like that. But yep.
I'll just get back nose to the grindstone and
Just before we
just
go.
do what I do.
Before we go.
I did what needed to be done last week, and I'll do it
Can you
again
just
next week.
quickly, for the benefit of ourselves and the listener, just give us a quick insight into who you haven't named but you think might win this coming week.
Yeah, give us
so
one.
that we can hear
Give
your
us
Richard
one
T.
of one of your
one of any of the tournaments that you
thought
looked at the name and thought,
processes.
oh, I'm thinking about that, but you didn't.
No, I don't have one. I don't have one this week. I'm going to be honest.
When do you think about it?
I'm always honest.
So back nine Sundays when you start thinking
So
about it, is it?
Saturday morning, you start thinking that
All right.
you thought about tipping them.
Tyrrell hadn't, but that's not
Okay.
That's not too remarkable. That's no Richard Lee.
No.
So
It's still, we'll give you credit for that one then. Follow along with all these tournaments and so much more on the Golf Australia magazine website, golfaustralia.com.au, where you can also sign up to the bi-weekly newsletter that hits your inbox on a Monday and Wednesday to catch you up on the week that was and preview the week ahead. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week on Playing from the Tips.